Hello everyone and welcome back to my opinion. And the Lucknow Super Giants have beaten the Mumbai Indians by 36 runs. And two positives they'll take from this game is that Rahul's continuous good form, a second unbeaten century for him today, and he effectively carried his team to the 168 because there was pretty much nothing around his century. And again, I didn't think he'd score 100 today. I wasn't surprised he played well because he does have a great record against MI, but with the way that he's been batting in the last few years, whether it be for IPL or for the national side in all formats of the game, he's hands down the best batsman in the world in my view right now. And also with the way that their bowlers went, a professional effort. And yes, they would have thought they would have wanted a bit more than 168, but at the same time, I actually thought with the purchase up front for the new ball bowlers on this wicket and the slow bowlers as well, I thought LSG had quite some runs to defend against a Mumbai side that is lacking in confidence as of now. And it really showed. I think one, with the proficiency of the LSG bowlers, and two, yes, the bowling was good, but Mumbai Indians also got themselves into a muddle as well. So I think that a combination of both factors, LSG would be really happy with this game. And the positive for LSG would probably be the biggest negative for Mumbai Indians. I think they wouldn't have minded chasing 169 on the surface, which was still, I mean, again, look, this was still quite a good surface to bowl on, and I still thought that this was a lot more of a trickier chase than it would seem, but on paper, Mumbai maybe wouldn't have minded chasing the score, since LSG also didn't have Avesh Khan, and I've said before that the more, I mean, yes, they still had, I say more bowling options, they still had a few bowling options in this game, quite a few in this game. But at the same time, I think with Mohsin Khan going for runs in his 2 overs that he bowled against Gujarat Titans, again, it would have been harsh to judge him on that performance. He's been bowling with good pace with the left arm angle as well. But I think you certainly thought, how will their death bowling be impacted, because Avesh Khan is their lead death bowler. And in the end, it didn't really need to go that far at all. They had so many runs to defend and great going from Mohsin Khan and LSG. But Mumbai Indians would have been quite disappointed with the way that things went in the second innings. And as I said, a combination of getting into a muddle and great bowling from LSG meant that Mumbai lost the game by 36 runs. Regarding the 11 to both teams, one change for LSG, Mohsin Khan in for Avesh Khan as he was out with injury for this game. And I actually thought they could have made another change, a change I've suggested when these teams last played a game against each other. And I'll be bringing that up when I get into the LSG batting innings fairly soon. And for Mumbai, the same side as their previous outing. So Rohit Sharma won the toss, chose to field first, and I thought this was the best chance for MI to win this game. Like I said in my preview, if they manage to put some pressure on this LSG juggernaut, which is quite a tough thing to do, they have the best batting spine in the tournament, but the bowlers had the conditions to put pressure on the batsmen in this game. And if they manage to put some pressure on LSG and restrict them to a score they'll feel comfortable chasing, this is the best chance for MI to win this game. The opening partnership lasted for 4 overs, put on 27 runs, and Bumrah dismissed Quinton de Kock for 10 off 9. And he should have been dismissed the previous delivery, but Tilak Bumrah put down a catch at square leg and the ball went for 6 as well. And apart from that one fielding lapse, MI were quite good in the field today, especially the likes of Rohit Sharma. And I think, again, they put a lot of pressure on LSG, 32 for 1 after the first 6 overs. And until the 9th over of the innings, you could say there wasn't exactly a case where LSG were looking to switch gears, especially after the first wicket fell. And this is where I want to suggest the change I was talking about. Now, Manish Pandey is playing in the side at number 3. And I think, I've even said before, it's a case where if the openers get a very good stand and let's say 10 overs have gone, you probably wouldn't be sending Manish Pandey out to bat. You'd probably be sending out one of the other players to bat. And in this case, you've seen, yes, there was some assistance for the seam bowlers up front and the slow bowlers as well. But I think Manish Pandey once again 22 of 22, and you've got a case where I just think you've got a talent like Ayush Bardoni. Yes, Pandey is a very good player as well, but Bardoni has shown that he can really hang in there when things are tough. For example, against Gujarat Titans on this very surface when his team lost 4 in the power play. And then he can also expand and hit at the end as well. He's been playing some very good cameos when he's walked out of bat. You look at the way Mumbai Indians have given Tilak Verma that responsibility, and I just think you're looking at the likes of Ayush Badoni and thinking he's a talent who really is being underutilized by his team. I think, look, this side already it bats down to number 8, and they effectively, yes, they have Marcus Stoinis, Jason Hodder, Krunal Pandya, and even Deepak Hooda can bowl as well. So they have 4 all-rounders. Badoni can bowl as well, but so 5. But I think that you've effectively got 8 batsmen as your top 8 who can also bowl as well, and I think they have such a luxury. It's a great luxury to have. So give Badoni the extra responsibility to go and express himself. You'll probably get a much faster pace scoring from the get-go than you would from Manish Pandey. And if you're playing the likes of Krishnappa Gautam, I think especially today there was some purchase for the slower bowlers, and on this very surface he bowled very well against the Rajasthan bowlers. So I think if they had played Gautam at, let's say, number 8, they could have gone with him, Krunal Pandya, Rahul Bishnoi, and then Jason Hodder, Dushmanta Chamira, Mohsin Khan, and then you've got Marcus Stoinis as well. So along with Huda and Badoni if needed. So that's, I mean, most of the side can bowl and most of the side can bat. This looks an outstanding side either way, but I just think it would look even better if you played Badoni at 3 and then Gautam at 8. Every player in the side could go great guns from the start, and again, each one would be continuing where the other one's left off. So that's just my view on that. And Pandey was dismissed 22 off 22, trying to play a tennis ball shot of Karan Pollard, who in his 2 overs, 2 for 8 in his 2 overs he took. And I was really happy that he bowled today. I think his bowling should be utilised more. With all the runs the other bowlers have been going for the Mumbai Indians, I think Karan Pollard, yes, he went for 26 in 1 over against Rajasthan Royals, but generally I think in the last 2 years or so his bowling has been much better. And there was a dip for quite some few years, but I think now, especially since the CPL 2020 final when he got 4 for 38, I think ever since then his bowling has certainly taken an improvement after the dip for a few years. And yeah, I think he really should utilise his overs much more. And on this surface, something which helped Mumbai was that Hrithik Shokeen once again none for 11 in his 2 overs, and Karan Pollard 2 for 8 in his 2 overs. So the 5th bowler went for 2 for 19. So yeah, outstanding figures for both of those two combined, and that's something which helped MI for this game. And really, apart from KL Rahul, the other players didn't exactly come to the party by any means. Marcus Stoinis being dismissed for... I mean, I didn't get the shot. I mean, yes, the delivery wasn't great, but I just think it's not exactly like he clubbed it. In fact, the fielder caught the ball kind of fairly inside the boundary ropes. And yeah, I just think... And it wasn't like he was trying to get, let's say, just hit it along the ground, let's say. So a puzzling shot from him. Yes, the ball was there to be hit, but with the way that he hit it, I just didn't get what he was trying to do. So he was dismissed for a 3-ball duck, a let-off for the Mumbai Indians at that stage. And KL Rahul just came into his own. I think he had 10 off 9 and 14 off 11 from Ayush Badoni, but even then, I thought 103 off 62. He really carried the mantle for them to get to 168. And yeah, I think that an outstanding innings from him, 103, as I've said before, the best batsman in the world right now in my view. And a huge positive for them would have been the fact that, again, as I've said, he effectively carried them to that score. And there are 2 ways you could go about it. One, you could say I think... One, you could say they may have wanted to get a bit more, and Rahul certainly seemed like he wanted a few more runs on the board. But at the same time, the games in the Mumbai Stadium, the Wankhede Stadium this season, have been mid to low scoring for the most part. That 222 game that we've seen, I don't think was an accurate representation of what we've seen so far and what we probably will see at this ground. And I think that... considering that 168 you wouldn't think is a bad score by any means, and it was going to be quite a challenging score for MI to chase down, despite the fact that it looks better than what they... Again, it probably didn't look as bad on paper. And the bowling figures, I thought Daniel Sams was good for his first and third over, but unfortunately around that he got some tap, especially in his 4th over. 1 for 14 is 4. Hrithik Shokeen and Karan Pollard, 2 for 19 in their 4 overs, 2 overs combined, so 2 for 19 in their 4. And Bumrah 1 for 31 as far as I especially thought his first and his last overs were outstanding. And yeah, he went for a few runs in his second and third over, but even then, I thought that, for example, in his third over, there was a boundary off the last ball, and even that was quite close to the infield. It just went past him. So he bowled a lot better than what it looks like. He also conceded a six, well, quite unfairly because of a drop catch. So I think that he bowled much better than what the figures show. And Riley Meredith, 2 for 14 is 4. Yes, he was expensive today, but I thought his last 3 balls in the last over were very good. And he has been showing some positive signs. And I feel bad for Nutgut because once again, we've seen a case where his first 3 overs have been really good, yet the last over spoiled his figures. And the last time he played against this side, I think he got figures of 2 for 32 in his 4 overs. So he went really well in his 4 overs in that game. And went really well for 3 of his overs in this case. But unfortunately for him, is when he, more often than not, when he bowls to the death, he seems to go for runs. And that's why I think bowling him and Daniel Sams with the new ball, I think will work in Mumbai Indians' favour. As long as Unadkat, again, bowls faster like he was bowling in IPL 2017, bowling in the low 140s rather than just looking to bowl slow stuff. Because let's be honest, it really hasn't worked. I mean, ever since then, he hasn't had a remotely successful season in any of the seasons, and for some times he's gone at huge price tags. So I think it's just a case where again, the price tag thing is a bit irrelevant to the way he bowls, but I'm just saying that when he was bowling in the low 140s, he was a standout bowler for Rising Pune Super Giants. After the dismal season they had previously, they went to the final partly because of the way he bowled. So I think the fact that he is mostly been bowling slower stuff, I don't understand it at all. If he just bowled the way he usually does, and even in domestic seasons, swinging the ball up front, then Daniel Sams, Jaydev Unadkat seem to, well, you think their strengths to be moving the ball up front, and that would leave Bumrah and Riley Meredith towards the middle in the end. So that would work better for them. But Mumbai Indians, you thought, you still thought on as far as the actual score is concerned, you still thought MI had a chance to win this, but it was still going to be difficult in my view. And from the very start, they didn't look like chasing this at all. I mean, there was way too much pressure on Rohit Sharma to get the quick starts. I thought he played really well today. 39 of 31, slowed down in a bit. But I think with the fact that the player at the other end in Ishan Kishan, 8 of 20 for him. And once again, it's a case where I said this in my preview, when I was previewing the Mumbai Indians in my videos before, where I said Ishan Kishan struggles when there are it's kind of when the bowling is good on good bowling conditions, and so far he hasn't exactly conquered that test at all. I mean, after the last 2 games, the opposition have tried to contain him, and every time he scored less than a run a ball. So in this case, it was a torrid time for him, and it was really summed up by the unlucky way that he got out. 8 of 20. A terrible delivery from Bishnoi, let's be honest, but I think the innings wasn't going well for Ishan Kishan at all. So 8 of 20 for him. And once again, something which I have said from before, after he scored 89 against Sri Lanka, I said this phrase, I said, this is a good innings, but it isn't the innings that's going to make him a better player. It's if he fires in these kind of situations, it's going to make him a better player. And so far in the last 5 games or so, when the opposition have got it right to him, and at times when there's been something in the surface, along with good bowling, he just hasn't been able to come to the fore at all. And Duard Brevis being dismissed also fairly soon, 3 of 5. A kind of a slow ball bouncer from Mohsin Khan, and in the end he was caught at deep third man by Dushmanta Chamira. And then afterwards, the wickets kind of tumbled once again from 40 to from the late 40s to the late 60s. They lost 4 wickets. I think they lost 18 for 4. The scoring rate kind of slowed down from the start because Rohit Sharma did get that quick start, but then afterwards, with the way Ishan Kishan was going, things also slowed down from there quite a bit. And I thought the turning point in the game was, yes, Rohit Sharma's wicket was a huge blow, especially with the way he was going. But Surya Kumar Yadav's wicket off the bowling of Ayush Badoni, I thought was the major point in the game where you thought LSG were well and truly in front. With the way that he's been going this season, you thought especially that a very unlikely bowler to dismiss him, but he'd be really happy with that wicket. And It's a shot that's probably given him a lot of value. That flicked to mid wicket, but unfortunately a leading edge, and he was caught by Rahul. And after that, MI were going to struggle to win the game. If there was a struggle even to get to this point, and after that, you thought they effectively couldn't lose another wicket for a long time because you have Daniel Sams in next, and then Unadkat, and that's pretty much it. So Tilak Verma and Pollard had to really get some quick runs, but also make sure they didn't get out. A fairly difficult task. Tilak Verma was mostly the aggressor in this partnership, 30 of 27. He really has been outstanding for Verma. I mean, I think the problem for them is that their batting is exciting, but even that hasn't completely fired. And you've got players like Tilak Verma who fired more often than not, and I think he really has been excellent. I mean, it's been a combination of him really attacking the bowling without taking too many risks, and also, as for example, against CSK, absorbing the pressure and then getting an important 50 as well. So I think he's been absolutely outstanding this season. MI have really found a great talent, unearthed a great talent, which they have done for quite a few seasons now. I'll give you probably the best scouting group in the IPL. But it was going to be difficult for MI to win this game. I thought this is the second, well, no, not even the second. A lot of times now, when Kieron Pollard has been batting at the end overs, it's been a combination of where he hasn't been able to go to strike rates that he would have wanted to. But at the same time, the rates have got very exorbitant fairly quickly. I mean, especially towards what in the last 3 overs, you could say they've needed at least 40 runs. And that's just, it isn't easy. And yeah, I think that's pretty much was the case that happened today as well. 76 needed off the last 6 overs. And they did, I think, 52 of 24, and they lost the game by 36 runs. So after Tilak Verma was dismissed, Kieron Pollard couldn't exactly get the ball away. And once again, it's a case where you've got Daniel Sams and Unadkat. You could say Kieron Pollard didn't have too much support in that front, despite the fact those two can bat. And I think in the end, a bit of a tame loss of the Mumbai Indians, and something which, again, I'm not exactly... From the very start of this innings, they just didn't look like taking the score down. And as I said at the start of the video, that would be the biggest negative for MI because, yes, the bowling was good, but their tentativeness really showed. And they just, a score which they wouldn't have minded chasing on paper, they just didn't look like chasing at all the moment they walked out of that, from the moment they walked out of that. And yeah, I think the bowling for LSG outstanding. Even the bowlers who do go for runs at the death, for example, Dushmanta Chamira, especially him, 1 none for 14 in his 4 overs. He bowled an excellent first 3 overs, probably one of the most threatening new ball bowlers in this competition. And he has struggled at the death, so I'm really happy that they've been bowling 3 overs of him up front in the last 2 games that they've played, I think especially. And yeah, in the end, with the last over that he bowled, a tactic which is well known now when bowling to Pollard, really bowling a wide Yorkers just inside the tram line. And he did that today. So yes, there were a few, especially one contentious wide call when Holder bowled to Tilak Verma. But apart from that, I think already when they needed, 40 odd runs from 10 deliveries or something. So it was never going to be easy, even if that wide was called. And Mumbai just didn't look like getting close to the total. And because of some great bowling from pretty much every side that they have come across, especially at the death of Mumbai, have been chasing scores down. The predictable plans that you could really use to stifle these players is the fact that if you bowl to the inhibition zones of Kieron Pollard, in the past year or so, he's been more susceptible to being inhibited when you bowl in those zones. And usually what's happened is that when the batsman on the opposite end gets out, then, or rather the other batsman who's batting with him gets out, then you've got the likes of Sams or you've got Unadkat. We haven't exactly seen Sams really hit the team out of trouble so far in the games that he has played. He has been in and out of the side. And Unadkat has tried his best, and I think his batting has been a positive this season. But when you want to get 40 runs off the last 3 overs, it just wouldn't work. So another case is seen in the last 3 overs or so, more for Mumbai than any other side. They've had to chase such an exorbitant amount of runs that they were just never in the game at that stage. With any other side, you would have thought, was there kind of a thrill? And in this case, I mean, for Mumbai, every time you just think that they didn't really have a chance to get over the line. Krunal Pandya 3 for 19 is for outstanding again. There was some grip for him in the surface and he made full use of it. He really has been great with the ball this tournament and has fired with the bat whenever he's needed to. Jason Hodder 1 for 36 in his 4, and I think at times in this tournament he's really been bowling well with the death, which is a great sign for the side, because with Avesh Khan leading the way as opposed to someone like a Mark Wood who would have been available for a season if not for his injury, then I think that it does certainly, there's an extra pressure on Avesh Khan to deliver. He had a Rabada and Nokia alongside him in previous seasons where he thrived, and I think with Jason Hodder coming good at the death certainly is a very good thing for the side. And another case of Marcus Stoinis hasn't had to bowl. I thought him and Avesh Khan would bowl at the death. But even then, without Marcus Stoinis bowling and with Mohsin Khan stepping up in such an outstanding fashion, they really played outstandingly today. And Bishnoi not having to bowl his 4th over at all. He was a bit expensive in his first 3 overs. Even the wicket was jammy, but I guess he's kind of allowed to have an off day because of the way that he's been playing. And Bardoni 1 for 6 in 1 over, probably the most important wicket of the innings. So I think a great win for LSG, and Mumbai Indians once again have lost 8 games. And it's, as I said at the start, they've lost most of their games from winning positions. You could say they should have at least won 6 out of their 8 games. I was going to include this one in that as well, but then you kind of think I was going to include this in the. I was going to include this one as well, but then you kind of think with 169 on a wicket that is good for bowling as well, you thought with a low in confidence side it would be quite hard to chase things down, especially when the opposition bowling is this good. And regarding the next game, I think it's CSK versus Punjab, and tomorrow may be the video where I review both CSK and MI seasons, although since I've spoken a bit about MI today, I don't think I'll do that video tomorrow, but I'll certainly be reviewing the game between CSK and Punjab. And if CSK beat Punjab, then Punjab and Kolkata are on 3 wins and 5 losses. And looking at the table right now, then yeah, I think that certainly CSK and Punjab have terrible net run rates, so a win will be vital for those sides, and also a relatively bigger win. And let's see how those go. I'm going to see where the game is. So it's at the Wankhede Stadium, and I actually think that who has a stronger bowling attack? Of course, the Punjab Kings. Who has the stronger batting lineup? I think CSK. So I think if CSK bowl first would probably be their best chance. If they get kind of something going in their bowling attack for this game, with the way Mukesh Chaudhary bowled in the previous game, if he continues his momentum, carries on his momentum that he got in the last 2 games, if they're able to put some pressure on the Punjab Kings, then you think that with the way the Punjab Kings have been going so far this season, their batting, there's been the power and smarts, there has been a bit of a mismatch, especially for quite some players, and that's something that CSK will look to play on. So after a disappointing loss against Punjab previously, I think CSK, if they restrict Punjab Kings to a lower score, then you never know. But if the Punjab Kings bowl first, then CSK have to make sure they get quite a few runs on the board. If they get even at 160 or 170 odd, just to be safe, because you never know with the CSK bowling attack, it mostly has misfired this season. It will be a hard thing to defend, I think, if CSK do end up batting first, but let's see how they go. But it should be a good game tomorrow. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, please share it with your friends, and remember, this is my opinion. What's yours?